The woods change after midnight. Something about that threshold, when one day ends and another begins, makes the darkness feel different, heavier, more aware. These stories come from people who found themselves in the woods during those hours and experienced something that changed how they see the natural world forever. Before we step into this story, ask yourself something. When the world goes quiet after midnight, do you believe the woods sleep, or do they wake up? Tonight's story isn't just about what someone saw out there. It's about what might still be watching. So if you're ready to face what waits beyond the trail, make sure you subscribe, because what you'll hear tonight will stay with you long after the screen goes dark. I was section hiking the Appalachian Trail in October 2019. Solo, which I'd done before without issue. But this time, I pushed too far past sunset, and by the time I realized I needed to stop, it was already past midnight. I found a small clearing about 50 feet off the trail and started setting up my tent. That's when I heard the footsteps. Human footsteps. Walking on the trail at the exact pace I'd been walking moments before. Steady, measured, purposeful. I turned off my flashlight and waited. The footsteps stopped right where I'd left the trail. Complete silence for maybe 30 seconds. Then the footsteps started again. But now they were moving through the brush. Moving parallel to where I stood, circling my position. I backed against a tree, gripping my bear spray. The footsteps continued in a wide arc around my clearing, maintaining the same distance. This went on for 10 minutes before they finally stopped. I didn't sleep. At dawn, I packed up and practically ran back to the trail. As I left, I noticed boot prints in the soft dirt, size 10 or 11 with a distinctive gouge in the left heel. Those same prints, with that same gouge, appeared every 100 yards along the trail for the next 3 miles. Whoever had been circling me had been following me for hours before I even knew they were there. My cousin Jessica went camping in the Boundary Waters with 3 friends. Summer of 2021. They made camp on a small island around 1 a.m. after a long day of canoeing. As they set up, they noticed a campfire across the water, maybe a quarter mile away. Normal enough, it's a popular camping area. But around 2 a.m., Jessica woke up and walked to the edge of their site. The campfire across the water had moved, or rather, there was now a second fire in addition to the first. Within 15 minutes, there were 12 separate campfires arranged in a perfect circle around their island, each one exactly the same distance away, burning with identical orange flames. They tried using binoculars but couldn't see anyone tending the fires, just flames in the darkness. The fires burned until exactly 4:17 a.m. Then, one by one, in the order they'd appeared, they went out. At dawn, they paddled past where the fires had been. No fire pits, no burned logs, no evidence anyone had been there at all. Just a circle of 12 stones, half buried in the sand, marking the exact spots where the flames had been. Mark was deer hunting in Pennsylvania, November 2018. He had permission to be on private land, a few hundred acres of dense forest. By midnight, he'd decided to pack it in and climb down from his tree stand. That's when he heard someone whistling. Not a tune, just a single sustained note that would go on for 5 seconds, stop for 10, then start again. He called out, thinking maybe it was another hunter. The whistling stopped, then started again, closer, about 50 yards away now. He called out again. Again, it stopped. Again, it resumed, even closer. This happened 6 times. Each time he spoke, the whistling would stop, then start again from a position closer to him. By the last time, it sounded like it was coming from just beyond the nearest trees. Mark walked quickly back to his truck. The whistling followed, staying the same distance behind him, never getting closer or farther. When he reached his truck and jumped in, the whistling stopped. In his rearview mirror, he saw a figure standing at the tree line. Tall, motionless. Just a dark shape. The figure slowly raised its arm and pointed at him. Mark drove away faster than he ever had on a dirt road. When he got home and checked his trail camera footage, there was a single photo from 12:04 a.m. It showed his empty tree stand, and standing directly beneath it, looking up, was someone in dark clothes. Their face was turned toward the camera, but the image was blurred, just a pale oval where features should be. Both arms were raised, reaching upward toward where he'd been sitting. Sarah and her boyfriend Tom were backpacking in Oregon, August 2020. Around 1 a.m., still hiking because they'd misjudged distances, they saw headlamps ahead on the trail. A man and woman approached, probably in their 40s, dressed in normal hiking gear. They made small talk. The couple said they were camping 2 miles ahead and had forgotten something in their car, so they were hiking back. Sarah and Tom continued on. 10 minutes later, they found a good spot and set up camp. 20 minutes after that, they heard voices. The same couple was coming up the trail again, from the same direction as before. Tom called out, confused. The couple stopped. The man's smile looked different this time, wider. "Just enjoying the night," he said. Then they walked past, heading back the way Sarah and Tom had originally been going. This happened 6 more times over the next 2 hours. Same couple, same direction, same greeting. On the 4th pass, Sarah noticed the woman's clothes looked brand new despite supposedly hiking for hours, and their boots never made any sound on the gravel. On the 6th pass, Tom stood up. "Who are you?" The couple stopped. They turned their headlamps toward him, creating strange shadows. Neither answered. They just stood there for 15 seconds, then turned and continued walking. In the morning, they found a weathered memorial sign they'd missed in the dark. "In loving memory of David and Patricia Morrison, lost on this trail, August 15, 1987. Exactly 33 years ago to the day. Kevin and 4 friends were camping in the Ozarks, July 2019. Bachelor party. Around 2 a.m. they heard drumming, like someone hitting a hollow log with a stick, rhythmic, coming from maybe a few hundred yards away. They assumed it was another camping group. But the drumming continued. Same rhythm, never stopping, never changing. After 20 minutes, someone said, "Is it getting closer?" It was, and now it sounded like multiple sources, like the rhythm was being answered from different locations around them. Within an hour, there were at least 6 different drumming sounds surrounding their camp, all beating the same pattern, all slowly closing in. By 3:30 a.m., the drumming was so close it felt like it was just beyond their firelight. They couldn't see anyone, couldn't see movement, just that relentless rhythm from all directions. Then, all at once, it stopped. Complete silence. No crickets, no wind, nothing. A single drum beat sounded right behind their tent. So close, they felt the vibration. They ran to their cars and left everything. As Kevin drove away, he looked back and saw lights in the woods where they'd been, not flashlights, but larger, hovering like oversized fireflies. Dozens of them. They called the ranger the next morning. After hearing their description, he asked what site they'd been at. When Kevin told him, the ranger went quiet. "You're the 3rd group this month reporting the same thing. We've checked that area multiple times. There's no evidence anyone else has been camping there." When the ranger delivered their recovered gear a week later, Kevin noticed something disturbing. Every tent stake, all 24 of them, had been driven into the ground in a perfect circle around where their tents had been. They'd only used 12. Rachel was doing wildlife research for her graduate degree, September 2020. She spent weeks alone in remote Idaho forests, using trail cameras to document animal behavior. She'd set up 20 cameras in a grid pattern, each about 200 yards apart. Around 1 a.m. one night, while reviewing footage, she noticed something odd. At 11:47 p.m., one camera captured a person walking past. She checked the next camera 200 yards east. At 11:52 p.m., the same person appeared, walking the same direction. She pulled up all 20 cameras. The same person appeared on 17 of them, always 5 to 6 minutes apart, walking a route that made no sense unless they somehow knew exactly where every camera was positioned. The last camera was nearly 2 miles from the first. Rachel checked her 2 Wi-Fi-enabled cameras. At 3:14 a.m., the person appeared again. This time they stopped, standing on the trail about 300 yards from her tent. They stood completely still, facing her direction for 6 minutes. Then they turned and looked directly at the camera. Even through the grainy night vision footage, Rachel could see they were smiling. And then they waved. Rachel left at dawn. When she returned a week later with colleagues to collect equipment, they found that 14 cameras had been repositioned. They were no longer pointed at the trail. They were all pointed at where her tent had been. Every camera had hours of footage of her tent, recorded every night she'd been there. The worst part wasn't knowing she'd been watched. It was reviewing that footage and seeing that in several frames, the person was standing just outside the reach of her tent's light, completely motionless, while she'd been inside, unaware. Story 7. The Empty Parking Lot. James was solo camping in Montana, October 2021. When he returned to the trailhead around midnight, cutting his trip short due to weather, he found 7 cars in the lot. It was 12:30 a.m. The trailhead was 5 miles from the nearest road, and he hadn't seen anyone on the trail. On each windshield was a handwritten note. "Stayed too late. Don't follow." He called 911 and waited in his truck. At 1:15 a.m., he saw flashlights on the trail, multiple lights coming down toward the parking lot. But as they got closer, he realized the lights were moving strangely, swinging randomly, not like people walking. And he couldn't hear footsteps or voices. The flashlights reached the lot and stopped in a line, all pointed at his truck. Then, one by one, they turned off. He couldn't see anyone. He turned on his high beams. The lot looked empty. Then he heard car doors opening. All 7 cars, simultaneously. Then closing. Then engines starting. The vehicles turned on their lights and slowly exited the parking lot, driving away down the dark road. He never saw anyone inside. The windows were too dark. When the ranger arrived, he checked the trailhead log. The last entry was from 6:30 p.m. 12 people signing out after a day hike. No one had signed in for overnight trips. Amanda and her sister Lisa went camping in Washington State, July 2018. Around midnight, Amanda woke to crying outside their tent. At first, she thought it was an animal. Then she heard words. "Amanda, please help me." It was Lisa's voice. Lisa was asleep right next to her. Amanda shook her awake. "Do you hear that?" Lisa listened, her face going pale. "That's my voice." Lisa's voice continued calling for help outside their tent for 5 minutes. Then it stopped. They didn't sleep. At dawn, they found small footprints circling their tent, child-sized prints in the soft dirt. As they were loading their car, they heard it again from the trees. "Why are you leaving? Don't you want to help me?" Still Lisa's voice, coming from the woods, though Lisa stood right there. Lisa told me that for weeks afterward, she'd get strange calls. No one would speak, just breathing. Once she heard her own voice whisper, "I'm still waiting for you to help me." Connor was hiking through the White Mountains, March 2019. By 1 a.m., still trying to reach a shelter cabin, he saw a light ahead, bright like a lantern, stationary on the trail about 50 yards away. He called out. The light didn't move. He walked closer. At about 20 yards away, the light suddenly rose straight up, stopping 20 feet in the air. Connor froze. The light hovered there, illuminating branches. There was nothing holding it. No drone, no string, just a sphere of white light floating. It dropped back to the trail, this time 10 yards ahead of where it had been. Then it moved to the side, partially behind a tree, then behind him. For 20 minutes, the light circled him slowly, always maintaining distance, sometimes on the trail, sometimes floating through trees. When he walked forward, it followed. When he jogged, it kept pace. Around 2 a.m., he saw the cabin and ran for it. Through the window, he watched the light approach and stop outside, illuminating the front wall. Then it went out. At dawn, he found something carved fresh into a tree by the door. You saw it too. Below that were 12 sets of initials, carved at different times, some weathered, some recent. He later learned the local hiking community knew about the light. Dozens had reported it over years. Everyone who sees it ends up at that cabin. And everyone adds their initials to the tree. This comes from Park Ranger Mike, Smoky Mountains, August 2020. At 2 a.m. during a routine patrol, he found a fully set-up campsite in a non-designated area. 2 tents, smoldering fire, chairs, coolers, everything. But no cars at the trailhead. He called out. No response. The tents were empty but full of gear. The site looked perfect. Tents exactly parallel, same distance from the fire, chairs at identical angles. Almost staged. He waited an hour. Nobody returned. The fire was warm, recently tended. Food in the coolers, ice still frozen. On the picnic table was a ranger's log book. His type of log book. But the entries weren't his. They were from different rangers dating to 1987. All describing the same thing. Found unoccupied camp at Grid 7J, no permit. Waiting for occupants. Entry after entry, year after year. The last was dated 2 years earlier. Mike took the log and left. He returned at dawn with 2 rangers. The campsite was gone. Just undisturbed forest floor covered in leaves. But the log book was real. He still has it. He's added his entry. The camp appears about once a year. Always set up, always empty, always at night. Every ranger who finds it adds to the log. The disturbing thing isn't the camp itself. It's reading the entries and seeing the progression. Each year, the camp gets more elaborate, more tents, more gear, as if the number of invisible occupants is growing. The woods have their own rules after midnight. These 10 people learned there are things we don't understand, things that watch, follow, and interact in ways that defy explanation. If you've experienced something similar, you're not alone, and maybe that's the scariest part. Stay safe out there.